Today, let us have a discussion on AutoCADs. Before we really go into detail of AutoCADs, let us have some introduction about AutoCADs. So, these are the AutoCADs. These are the pharmacologically active molecules. Pharmacologically active molecules which are synthesized in mast cells, which are synthesized by other cells, but these are stored within the mast cells and released. And because of release of these AutoCADs, it will show its action on targeted organs. It will show its action on targeted organs. That is, action is nothing but it helps in inflammation and vasodilation, etc. like that. So, AutoCADs. AutoCAD is a Greek word. AutoCAD is a Greek word which is combination of two words. One is autos plus akos. Autos plus akos. It is a Greek word which is combination of autos plus akos. Autos means self. Autos means self. Akos means relief. Autos plus akos is nothing but it is a self-release. Self plus release is called AutoCADs. So this is some basics of AutoCADs which are synthesized by different types of cells and stored within the mast cells. So whenever there is requirement of AutoCADs, it will get released. So because of release of these AutoCADs, it will show its action on targeted tissues. What is the action of this AutoCADs is it helps in inflammation process, it helps in vasodilation, etc. and constriction of endothelial smooth muscles. So it is a Greek word which is combination of two words. One is autos plus akos. Autos means self and akos means relief. So what are the chemicals which comes under AutoCADs? Let us consider the chemicals which comes under the AutoCADs. What comes under AutoCADs? First one, it includes histamine. Histamine comes under the AutoCADs. Next one is serotonin. Second one is serotonin. While the third one is nitric oxide. Third one is nitric oxide. And fourth one is, first one is histamine, second one is serotonin, and third one is nitric oxide, while the fourth one is eicosanoids. So these are the four important types of AutoCADs which are released by different types of cells and stored within the mast cells. Like AutoCADs are like histamines, serotonin, nitric oxide and eicosanoids. So now let us go into detail of different types of AutoCADs like histamines, serotonin, nitric oxide and eicosanoids. First, let us discuss about histamine. Histamine. First, let us discuss about the synthesis of histamine. Let us consider Let us consider this is a neuron. So within the neuron there are, on surface of neuron there are certain transporters are present. So these transporters are called histidine transporters. Histidine transporters. So what is the raw material which is required for synthesis of histamine is histidine is the monoamine which is required, histidine. With this help it enters into immunocyte, that is histidine. So whenever this histidine enters inside with some enzymatic reactions, it results in formation of histamine. It results in formation of histamine. So from this histamine from this neurons, it will get released out. So let us consider this is one mast cell. Let us consider this is one mast cell, and within this mast cell this histamine is stored. This histamine is stored. So this is the synthesis of histamine. Now let us consider this histamine. There is some enzymatic reactions during the process of inflammation, like is cellular events. During the case of cellular events of inflammation, this histamine is released out. Now whatever the histamine which is released out will bind to the histamine receptors. So totally there are 4 different types of histamine receptors are present. Now let us consider this histamine receptor is attached to one histamine. So this histamine is attached to one histamine receptor. So let us consider this is one cell. Let us consider this is one cell. Now whatever the histamine which is released will attach to these cells on surface. It consists of histamine receptors. So let us consider this is one histamine receptor. This is H1 type of receptor, which is H1 type of receptor. Let us consider this is one smooth cell of a smooth muscle. Let us consider, or else consider that this is a smooth muscle. On smooth muscle, this is the histamine, first histamine type 1 type of receptor. So on this H1 type of receptor, let us consider histamine is attached. Which is the histamine get attached. So because of attachment of histamine, there is intracellular signal will get activated. When histamine is attached, integral part of this receptor will get activated. So as a result, it will activate G alpha protein, G beta protein, G gamma protein. So whenever this histamine is activated, this GQ protein will get activated. This G alpha protein will get activated. So whatever the GQ protein which is activated, it is of GQ type of protein. It is GQ type of protein. Now this GQ protein will get activated. So what is the function of this GQ protein means this GQ protein will activate another enzyme. It activates the another enzyme that is called let us consider this is one enzyme. The name of this enzyme is phospholipase C. Phospholipase C. So this GQ protein will activate this phospholipase C. Whenever this phospholipase C is activated, it will show its action, this lipase action, that is cutting action on proteins which are present on membrane, that is transmembranous proteins. So the function of this phospholipase C is within the cell membrane there is special proteins are present that are phosphatidyl inositol triphosphate. So on surface it helps in converting the phosphatidyl inositol triphosphate into two forms. One is inositol triphosphate while the other one is diacylglycerol. So these are the two products of phosphatidyl inositol phosphate which is result of phospholipase C. Now whatever the inositol triphosphate which is formed will show its action on endoplasmic reticulum. Let us consider this endoplasmic reticulum. On this, many calciums are present. Inside it consists of many large amount of calcium. Large amount of calcium is present. So these inositol triphosphate will activate this endoplasmic reticulum. So because of activation of endoplasmic reticulum, calcium will come out of endoplasmic reticulum. So calcium will be coming out. Excessive amount of calcium will be found outside. So this calcium which is released out from the endoplasmic reticulum will result in activation of special complex, that is calcium calmodulin complex. This calmodulin complex is activated. So this calmodulin complex which is activated will show its action and will activate another type of protein. So it will activate another protein, that is calcium calmodulin kinase, or else it is also called CAM kinase. CAM kinase. So this CAM kinase is an enzyme which is produced, will have many functions. One function is it helps in phosphorylation of different proteins, as well as it helps in phosphorylation of it helps in involved in the synthesis of translational proteins. And one more important point is on surface we have these calcium channels. Let us consider this is a calcium channel. So these calcium calmodulin kinases will activate this calcium channel. So because of activation of phosphorylation of this, so these calcium calmodulin kinases will phosphorylate these calcium channels. So whenever these calcium channels are phosphorylated, it gets opened up. So because of opening of calcium channels, there is excessive intake of calcium. So because of excessive intake of calcium, calcium will get increased, calcium content within the cell will get increased. So whenever the calcium content within the cell get increased, what happens within the, let us consider, whenever this calcium chondroitin complex increases, first let us consider this cell as a blood vessel. In blood vessel, whenever the concentration is increases, calcium dependent nitric oxide will get entered inside. So whenever nitric oxide enters inside the cell, this nitric oxide will inhibit a special enzyme called light chain kinase. So the function of light chain kinase is it helps in phosphorylating the phosphates on myosin. So whenever the heavy light chain kinase is activated, it phosphorylates the myosin. So whenever myosin gets phosphorylated, it will show its action on by binding with actin molecules. So actin and myosin will get binded up and resulting in contraction. So these, whenever calcium dependent nitric oxide is entered inside the cell, this nitric oxide will inhibit the action of light chain kinases. So when light chain kinases are inhibited, there will be no phosphorylation of heavy chain, that is myosins. So if there is no phosphorylation of myosin, there will be no contraction. So because of no contraction, it results in dilation. So if within the blood vessel, if calcium rises, it results in vasodilation because of entry. It results in vasodilation. That is a first point. That is first point to remember. Let us consider this cell as bronchiolar cells, epithelial cells present in bronchiole. Let us consider it as a bronchiole. Within the bronchiole, if calcium concentration is increased, it results in repolarization. If there is more repolarization, it results in hyperpolarization. If there is hyperpolarization, there will be constriction of bronchioles. So it results in bronchioloconstriction. It results in bronchoconstriction. Now let us consider this is as a capillaries. Let us consider this cell as a capillaries. So capillary endothelial cells. Within this is blood vessel and this is endothelial cells. This is capillary. This is not like arteries and veins. This is the capillaries. So what happens in capillaries means, if there is excessive release of calcium within the capillaries, there will be shrinkage of endothelial cells. If there is shrinkage because of more contraction, there is shrinking of endothelial cells. If there is more shrinkage occurs, then it results in increase in the permeability. That is increase in permeability. Permeability will get increased. That means there will be increase in the permeability. So if within the, let us consider this is a myocardial cell. What happens if there is excessive influx of calcium in, that is AV cells will get, that is atrioventricular cells will get inhibited. There will be inhibition of AV cells. AV cells will get inhibited. So this is the effect of histamine. Whenever this histamine is attached to the, get attached to this H1 type of receptor, that is histamine type 1 type of receptor. So it is associated with GQ protein. It activates phospholipase C, it activates IP3 and DAG, and this DAG helps in opening of calcium channels. It helps in opening the calcium channels. There will be efflux of calcium. There will be more releasing of calcium ions. So it releases calcium carbonate complex, calcium channels will be opened up, it results in vasodilation, bronchoconstriction, increase in permeability and IV cells. So let us discuss some pharmacology in this area. Now let us discuss the pharmacology. These H1 type of receptors are present in postsynaptic membrane. So these H1 are present at the postsynaptic membrane. So if in order to decrease the effect of histamine, these H1 receptors should be blocked. These H1 receptors should be blocked. There should be blocking of this H1 receptor. There should be blockage of this H1 receptor. So the drugs which are given in these cases are H1 receptor antagonist. H1 receptor antagonist. So within the H1 receptor antagonist, there are two different types of drugs are present. That is, first generation drugs are present and second generation drugs are present. That is first generation drugs. So next one is second generation drugs. First generation drugs as well as second generation drugs. So what is the difference between the first generation drugs and second generation drugs? First generation drugs are the drugs which are highly lipid soluble, and second generation drugs are less lipid soluble. So the first generation drugs can easily pass through the blood-brain barrier. So these cannot pass through the blood-brain barrier. So when these first generation drugs are resulting in crossing the blood-brain barriers, it results in sedation. So it results in sleep. So these second generation do not cross the blood-brain barriers. We do not cause the sleep. So what are the drugs which comes under the first generation drugs are? First one is promethazine. Promethazine is the first drug. See, this promethazine is a drug which is anticholinergic drug, which will also inhibit the muscarinic receptors and as well as serotonin receptors. So this is the first drug. And next one is diphenhydramine. Diphenhydramine is a second drug which is also anticholinergic drugs. So these two drugs can also used in to treat the extrapyramidal side effects which are studied in antipsychotics. Promethazine, diphenhydramine, these are the anticholinergic drugs which have function of anticholinergics. And next one is dimenhydrinate. Dimenhydrinate. This is also anticholinergic drug. Now, these promethazine and diphenhydramine, these can act as local anesthesia. It can be given as local anesthetic drug. And next one is doxepin. Doxepin. This is a drug which inhibits the reuptake mechanism. That is, which inhibits the reuptake mechanism. And next one is chlorphenamine. chlorphenamide. So it is the least sedation causing drug. This is chlorphenamide. And next one, hydroxyl. So these are some important main first generation drug, that is promethazine, diphenhydramine, dimethylhydrinate, and doxepin, chlorphenamine, and hydroxyl. So these are first generation drugs. Now let us discuss about second generation drugs. So what are the second generation drugs? Are cetirizine, cetirizine is the first drug, whereas the second drug is astemizole, astemizole is the second drug, and next one is loratadine, next one is desloratadine, etc. These are some important drugs which are second generation drugs. So these are the different types of drugs which will work on the H1 type of receptor, that is histamine 1 type of receptors, and helps in blocking the H1 type of receptor. So whenever this H1 receptor is blocked, whenever histamine is attached here, it cannot activate GQ protein and cannot activate phospholipase C and cannot activate IP3 and cannot result in release of calcium channels and cannot activate calcium kinases and cannot activate the calcium ions and cannot result in these conditions. So there will be decreasing of inflammation process. So these are some drugs which inhibit the H1 type of receptor. So these are called H1 receptor antagonists. So let us consider next part of this histamines. Now let us discuss, we have completed about H1 type of receptor. Now let us discuss about H2 type of receptor. H2 type of receptors. Let us consider this is one cell, a smooth muscle. Let us consider this is a smooth muscle. On this, H2 type of receptors are present. Let us consider this is H2 type of receptors, that is histamine 2 type of receptors. So whenever histamine released from the mast cells is attached here. Let us consider this is the histamine and this is H2 type of receptor. So whenever this histamine is attached with the H2 type of receptors, it involves the intracellular signaling. So this intracellular signaling will activate G alpha, G beta and G gamma subunit. So whenever these H2 histamine will activate the H2 type of receptors, these will activate G stimulatory protein. So these G stimulatory protein will get activated. This G stimulatory protein will get activated. Now, what will be the function of this G stimulatory protein means? It will activate special kind of protein that is adenylyl cyclase. the function name of this is adenylyl cyclase. So these adenylyl cyclase, what is the function of this adenylyl cyclase is, it helps in conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. It results in conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. So these cyclic AMP levels will get increased. So what will be the function of this cyclic AMP? The cyclic AMP levels will get increased within the cell. So the function of this cyclic AMP is, let us consider, this is a calcium channel. This is a calcium channel. So this cyclic AMP will activate this calcium channel. So because of activation of calcium channel, there will be influx of calcium. So the calcium concentration within the cell will get increased. There will be increasing of concentration of calcium. So let us consider this cell as, first let us consider this cell as myocardial cell, as heart cell. If this, within the heart cell, calcium concentration will get increased. If the calcium concentration will get increased, electropositivity will get increased. Whenever the electropositivity will get increases, ultimately there will be resulting in generation of action potential. If there is generation of action potential, heart rate will get increased. So when heart rate will get increased, it results in increase in the contractility. That is increase in contractility. There will be increase within the contractility. This is the function of histamine, action of histamine on heart. Now let us consider this as a blood vessel, like arteries and veins. Within the calcium, if the calcium concentration is increased, calcium dependent nitric oxide will get entered. So if nitric oxide enters, it inhibits the cyclooxygenase pathway and there will be no contraction. As a result, there will be vasodilation. It results in vasodilation. It results in vasodilation. So these H2 type of receptors are present on postsynaptic membrane. H1 and H2, these both are present on postsynaptic membrane. Now these, let us consider these cells as stomach cells. These cells are stomach cell. Because of entry of more influx of calcium, it results in producing more HCl. HCl production will be more. So this is the action of H2 receptors whenever histamine is attached to this. So this is the action of histamines whenever histamine is attached to H2 type of receptor. So in order to overcome these receptors, there are special drugs which will block this H2 type of receptors. These H2 type of receptors will get blocked. So what are the drugs which are inhibiting these are called H2 antagonist. H2 receptor antagonist. So what are the drugs which comes under H2 type of receptor antagonist? So first one is cimetidine. Cimetidine is the first drug which comes under H2 type of antagonist. Next one is ranitidine. Cimetidine and ranitidine, and next one is nizatidine. This one is nizatidine, and next one is famotidine. this cimetidine is the least acting drug which having least short life, and this is having famotidine is longer half life. So whenever these drugs are given which will inhibit the H2 type of receptors, whenever H2 type of receptors are inhibited, they do not activate G-cyclic protein, they do not activate adenylyl cyclase, there will be no formation of cyclic AMP, there will be no influx of calcium ions. So and this is the action of H2 type of receptors and what the pharmacology involved in blocking this H2 type of receptors. Now let us discuss next part. H3 type receptors. H3 type of receptors. Where does this H3 type of receptors are present? Now let us consider this is one neuron. And this is another neuron. So within this the histamine will get synthesized. Within the presynaptic membrane, this histamine will get synthesized. So whenever this is synthesized, it will be released out. It will be released out. So where does this H3 type of receptors are present? These H3 type of receptors are present on presynaptic membrane. This is present on presynaptic membrane. So this is H3 type of receptors. Now whenever this histamine which is released, they may undergo reuptake mechanism. So they may undergo reuptake mechanism, as well as these histamine may have chances of attacking on these H3 receptors. Histamine will get binded here. So whenever this histamine is attached to this receptor present on presynaptic membrane, now it will activate the special protein, that is G inhibitory protein. Whenever this G inhibitory protein is activated, it will inhibit the adenylyl cyclase. That means it will inhibit the adenylyl cyclase will get inhibited. So whenever there is inhibition of adenylyl cyclase, there is no conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. If there is no conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP, the cyclic AMP levels will get decreased. So the cyclic AMP release will get decreased. If there is decrease in the cyclic AMP levels, then if the cyclic AMP is decreased, they do not cause the entry of calcium ions. If there is no entry of calcium ions, there is no further repolarization and depolarization. If there is no depolarization, there will be no external signal coming to this. As a result, there will be no releasing of histamine. So as a result, releasing of histamine will get decreased. So this is the pharmacology, this is the action of H3 receptors which are present on presynaptic membrane. So what are the drugs which are used in this area, and what is the pharmacology mechanism of action? Let us consider this is pharmacology. Let us study about the pharmacology here. So what are the drugs which are given in this area? So here the H3 receptors are associated with G inhibitory protein. So the drugs which are given in this area should be the H3 agonist. H3 receptor agonist. That means which will increases the action of this H3 receptor. So because of increasing of H3 receptor, there is more action of G inhibitory. There is no, if there is action of G inhibitory, there is no cyclic AMP produced. There will be decreasing of H3 ions. So, sorry, if this if there is G inhibitor protein is activated, adenylyl cyclase will get activated. Adenylyl cyclase will get inhibited. So cyclic AMP will get decreased. So cyclic AMP will get decreased. Histamine release will get decreased. So what are the drugs which are comes under these H3 type of receptors are piprolisant. Piprolisant is a special class of drug which will block the H3 type of receptors. Whenever these H3 type of receptors are blocked, there will be activation of G inhibitory protein. If there is activation of G inhibitory protein, this G inhibitory protein will inhibit the adenylyl cyclase. Whenever this adenylyl cyclase is get inhibited, there will be no conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. If there is no conversion of cyclic AMP, these cyclic AMP levels within the neuron will get decreased. So if there is decrease of cyclic AMP levels, there will be no opening of calcium ions. If there is no opening of calcium ions, there will be no influx of calcium ions. As a result, there will be no external stimuli. There will be no action potential generated. If there is no action potential generated, there will be no releasing of histamines. So this is the mechanism which is involved in H3 type of agonist. So this is about H3 type of receptor. Now let us discuss the last type of receptor. Last type of, that is H4 type of receptors. These H4 type of receptors are also present in postsynaptic membrane. So let us consider this is one cell, and on surface it consists of H4 type of receptor, and this H4 type of receptor, histamine is get attached. Histamine will get attached. So whenever histamine is get attached, these will activate G alpha, G beta, and G gamma subunit. So whenever histamine is get activated, it will activate G inhibitory protein. Whenever this G inhibitory protein is activated, it will inhibit the adenylyl cyclase. Adenylyl cyclase, the enzyme will get inhibited. Adenylyl cyclase enzyme will get inhibited. If there is inhibition of adenylyl cyclase, there will be no conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. Ultimately, the cyclic AMP levels will get decreased. So these cyclic AMP levels will get decreased. There will be no influx of calcium ions. As there is no influx of calcium ions, there will be chemotaxis taking place. It results in chemotaxis. It results in a chemotaxis. So there are some class of drugs which are under still investigations. They are telling that there are certain drugs like H4 type of antagonist are present. These H4 type receptor antagonists are useful in treating the atopic. These are used in treating the atopic dermatitis. Atopic dermatitis. So this is about some important uses of drugs which are used in histamines. So these are called antihistamines. we have completed one type of AutoCAD, that is we have completed about one type of AutoCAD, that is histamine. So now let us discuss about next type of histamines, next type of AutoCAD, that is serotonin. So serotonin. First, this is also one type of AutoCAD. First, let us discuss about the synthesis. Synthesis of serotonin. Let us consider this serotonin is also synthesized within the. It can also be synthesized in central nervous system. So let us consider this is one neuron. So on the surface of neuron, for the synthesis of serotonin, the raw material which is required for the synthesis of serotonin is the monoamine, that is called monoamine amino acid, that is the required for the synthesis of serotonin is tryptophan. So this is the tryptophan which is required for the synthesis of serotonin. So there are special transporters present on surface of this neuron. So with the help of these transporters, this tryptophan will enter inside. This tryptophan will get entered inside. So this tryptophan which is entered inside, whatever the tryptophan which is entered inside, that convert into 5-hydroxytryptophan. Hydroxytryptophan with the help of enzyme called tryptophan 5-hydroxylase. Tryptophan 5-hydroxylase. The help of enzyme called tryptophan 5-hydroxylase. Now this tryptophan which is 5-hydroxytryptophan which is formed will get converted into 5-hydroxytryptamine. 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 So this 5-hydroxytryptamine, with the help of this 5-hydroxytryptophan will get converted into 5-hydroxytryptophan with the help of enzyme called L-amino acid deoxygenase. L-amino acid deoxygenase. So here 5-hydroxytryptophan is synthesized. Let us consider this is 5-hydroxytryptophan, sorry, 5-hydroxytryptamine, which is released. 5-hydroxytryptamine. So whatever this 5-hydroxytryptamine is released will show its action on its receptors. So what are the types of receptors are present? There are there are totally 7 types of receptors are present. It will show its action on (5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 1), and it will show its action on 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 2. It will show its action on 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 3. It will show its action on 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 4. It will show its action on 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 5. it may show its action on 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 6. It will show its action on 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 7. So there are totally 7 different types of receptors, that is serotonin receptors are present, but up to now there is only known function of receptor 1 plus receptor 2 plus receptor 3 plus receptor 4 functions are known to us, but these are under still investigation. So these are under still investigation process. So these are still in search. Out of these R3 type of receptor is one unique type of receptor which is associated with sodium potassium ATPase. Potassium pump. It is associated with sodium potassium pump. So this is about serotonin synthesis and secretion. Now let us discuss about the action of serotonin on different types of receptors and the drugs which are used in that area. First let us consider about first type of receptor, that is 5-hydroxytryptamine receptor 1. That is first type of receptor. So let us consider this is one smooth muscle. Let us consider this is one smooth muscle. Cell of a smooth muscle. On its surface, it consists of receptors for serotonin. Let us consider this is a receptor type 1. Type 1 type of receptor. So, whenever 5-hydroxytryptamine is attached here, that is 5-hydroxytryptamine is attached here. 5-hydroxytryptamine, that is 5-hydroxytryptamine is attached to the surface of receptor. Now, whenever 5-hydroxytryptamine is attached to the surface, there will be intracellular signaling will be activated. Whenever intracellular signaling will get activated, it will activate G protein. It will activate G alpha protein, G beta protein and G gamma protein. Whenever these 5-hydroxytryptamine is entered inside the cell, it will activate special G type of protein. The special G type of protein is called G inhibitory protein. So whenever G inhibitory protein is get activated, what will be the function of this G inhibitory protein means it will inhibit the action of adenylyl cyclase. Adenylyl cyclase. So the function of this adenylyl cyclase will get inhibited. Adenylyl cyclase will get inhibited. Whenever this adenylyl cyclase function is get inhibited, the function of this adenylyl cyclase is conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. So whenever this adenylyl cyclase is get inhibited, there is no conversion of cyclic AMP, ATP into cyclic AMP. Ultimately, as a result, if there is decrease in cyclic AMP level, the adenylyl, there will be no activation of calcium ions, so calcium channels, but there will be this ATP is there now. This ATP will activate potassium ions. So there is there will be no influx of calcium ions. Ultimately, let us consider these are some potassium ions. So these ATP will get activating these potassium ions. So whenever these potassium are activated, this cell is called as low bag of potassium, that means rich in potassium. So as a result, there will be efflux of potassium. There will be negativity within the cell will get decreased. So this is the function of 5-hydroxytryptamine when it is attached to the T1 type of receptor, that is 5-receptor serotonin type 1 receptors. It is present on postsynaptic membrane. It is present on postsynaptic membrane. Now, if there is efflux of potassium ion, electropositivity will get decreased. So, if there is efflux of potassium ion, the serotonin secretion will get decreased. That is, releasing of serotonin will get. If there is increase in the efflux of potassium, the electronegativity within the cell will get decreased. So as a result, there will be no secretion of, ultimately there will be the secretion of 5-hydroxytryptamine will get inhibited. There will be no secretion of inhibition. So there is no secretion of 5-hydroxytryptamine. So if there is no 5-hydroxytryptamine, that is serotonin is not secreted, there will be no inflammations within the cell, or there will be no irritability within the gastrointestinal tract. So this is the mechanism of action of type 1 type of serotonin receptor. So what will be the pharmacology involved in this area? So one correction point, these 5-hydroxytryptamine receptors are present in presynaptic area. It is present in presynaptic area. So these it may be a smooth cell or it may be a neuron. These pharmacology which is involved in is the drugs which are administered in this area should activate these T1 type of receptor. If it activates the T1 type of receptors, it activates G inhibitor protein. If G inhibitor protein is activated, it will inhibit the adenyl cyclase. If adenyl cyclase is inhibited, cyclic AMP will not be there. Ultimately, there will be no action potential generated. There is no action potential generated. There will be no serotonin released. The drugs which are given is 5-hydroxytryptamine type 1 agonist. Type 1 type of agonist. So, what are the drugs which are given in this area? Buspirone, and ipsapirone and geprinone. Buspirone, ipsapirone and geprinone. So these are the 3 drugs which are administered as 5-hydroxytryptamine type 1 type of receptors, where it activates the G inhibitor protein and decreases the calcium ions. So there is no releasing of serotonin. So this is the first type of receptors. Now let us go with next type of receptors. So next type of receptor, that is 5-hydroxytryptamine type 2. Tryptamine type 2 type of receptors. So these are present on postsynaptic area. Now let us consider this is a cell like a smooth muscle. On surface, it consists of 5-hydroxytryptamine type 2 type of receptors. is type 2. Type 2 type of receptors. So on surface, whatever the serotonin which is released by the mast cells will accumulate here. That will get attached here. 5-hydroxytryptamine. That will get attached here. So whenever this 5-hydroxytryptamine is get attached, it will activate G proteins. That is G alpha, G beta and G gamma. So whenever this serotonin is attached here, it will activate the special set of protein, that is it will activate GQ protein. So whenever this GQ protein is get activated, it activates another kind of protein. It will activate another kind of protein. So the name of this protein is phospholipase C. So what is the function of this phospholipase C is it helps in conversion of phosphatidyl inositol triphosphate into inositol triphosphate and diacylglycerol. Now this inositol triphosphate, the function of this inositol triphosphate is whatever the calcium which is present within the endoplasmic reticulum, it will release the calcium ions outside. Calcium will be released out. Now these calcium will form calcium colmodulin complex. This calcium colmodulin complex will activate CAM kinases. These CAM kinases will work as special protein which will open these calcium ions. So if there is opening of calcium ions, that means there will be phosphorylation of calcium ions. As a result, there will be more influx of calcium ions. If there is more influx of calcium ions, what will be the action? Let us consider this as a blood vessel. Within the blood vessel, there is constriction of blood vessels. That means action potential will be generated. There will be constriction of blood vessels. If it is a bronchiole, there will be bronchoconstriction. There will be bronchoconstriction. If there is excessive increasing of calcium concentration, if it is central nervous system, it results in anxiety. So this is about mechanism of action of type 2 type of serotonin receptors. Whenever serotonin is get attached, it will activate GQ protein. GQ protein will activate phospholipase C. This phospholipase C converts phosphositol inositol triphosphate into IP3 and DAG. So this DAG will activate these potassium ions as there is efflux of potassium. There will be efflux of potassium. So what are the type of, let us discuss the pharmacology here. Let us discuss the pharmacology here. So what are the drugs which are giving here? The drugs which are giving in this area should inhibit the T2 type of receptors. These T2 type of receptors should get inhibited. So if there is inhibition of T2 type of receptors, GQ protein will get inhibited. This GQ protein cannot activate phospholipase C. This phospholipase C cannot convert PIP3 into IP3 and DAG. This PIP3 cannot activate the calcium colmodulin complex. There is no influx of calcium, there is no influx of potassium. Ultimately, there is no vasoconstriction or bronchoconstriction, and there will be no anxiety. So what are the drugs which comes under this category which blocks the T2 type of receptors? Now 5-hydroxytryptamine type 2 type of receptors. So what are the drugs which comes under here are 5-hydroxytryptamine type 2 antagonist. Type 2 antagonist. So what are the drugs which comes under here? Cyproheptadine tablet, cyproheptadine and methylsergide. Methylsergide. Next one is ketanserin. 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 So these ketanserin has one important function. It will block the alpha-1 receptors also. It has capacity to block the alpha-1 receptors also. So these are the drugs which are given to decrease the effect of T2 type of receptors. That is, these are the antagonists of T2 type of receptors. So this is about T2 types of receptor. Now let us discuss further. Now let us discuss about 5-hydroxytryptamine type 3 type of receptors. So these are present on postsynaptic area. Now let us consider this is a cell on which there is T3 type of receptors and there are sodium potassium ATPases, sodium potassium pumps. So whenever these sodium potassium pumps, now these serotonin will get activated, serotonin will get attached here. So whenever the serotonin will get attached here, these intracellular signaling will get activated. Whatever this intracellular signaling will get activated. So these intracellular signalings will show its action on. It will show its action on sodium potassium ATPase. So if there is sodium potassium ATPase is activated, there will be efflux of sodium ions. So there will be efflux of sodium ions, 3 sodium ions out and 2 potassium ions in. Now if there is excessive loss of sodium ions, there is electropositivity will get decreased. Electropositivity within the cell will get decreased. So if it is, let us consider if it is heart cell, it results in decreasing of heart rate. So it results in bradycardia. And it also results in hypotension. It results in bradycardia and it results in hypotension. So this is the action of T3 type of, which is unique type, which is activating the sodium potassium ATPases. So what are the drugs which should be given here? That should be T3 type of. So once again, if there is decreasing of electropositivity, there will be no action potential generated. If there is no action potential generated, there will be no action of there will be no releasing of this serotonin, 5-hydroxytryptamine. That means no. The drugs which should be given here are pharmacology is pharmacology is 5-hydroxytryptamine type 3 antagonist. These whatever drugs which are given should block these T3 type of receptor. It should block the T3 type of receptor. So what are the drugs which comes under the T3 type of receptor blockers, like ondansetron, one is ondansetron and palansitron. And so these are some drugs, important drugs which are administered here. These ondansetron will also work as anti-emetic drug. work as anti-MTP. So these will block this T3 type of receptors. If this T3 type of receptors are present, there will be inhibition of these sodium potassium ATPases. As a result, sodium concentration within the cell will get increased. As a result, electropositivity will get increased. If there is electropositivity will get increases, we can overcome this problem. So this is about T3 type of receptors and the pharmacology which is involved in it. Now let us discuss next type of receptors. That is last type of receptors on which the serotonin will get attached. That is 5-hydroxytryptamine type 4 type of receptors. Type 4 type of receptors. So let us consider this is a smooth cell, gastrointestinal cell. Let us consider one smooth cell in gastrointestinal cell, gastrointestinal tract. This is a receptor, that is T4 type of receptor. So whenever this T4 type of receptor on which this serotonin is get attached, let us consider this serotonin is attached. Now whenever this serotonin is get attached, it will show intracellular signaling. It will activate G protein, that is G alpha, G beta and G gamma. Whenever this serotonin is activated, it will activate G stimulatory protein. G stimulatory protein which is activated, whatever the G stimulatory protein will activate adenylyl cyclase. Now these adenylyl cyclase will help in conversion of ATP into cyclic AMP. So the cyclic AMP levels within the cell will get increased. So as there is increase in the cyclic AMP levels, it will activate the opening of this calcium ion. So within the calcium, within the cell, the calcium concentration will get increased. So electropositivity will get increased, and ultimately there will be more contraction. So there will be contraction of gastrointestinal cells. So there is contraction in the gastrointestinal cells. So if there is overproduction, as a result there will be more production of serotonin. So what is the pharmacology involved here means, what will be the pharmacology which is involved here? Now let us have the discussion on pharmacology. Whatever the drugs which are administered here, it should block this T4 type of receptors. So these T4 type of, whatever the T4 type of receptors which are giving, it should activate this T4 type of receptors. That means it should activate this T4 type of receptor. If there is activation, there will be more contraction. If there is more contraction, there will be less releasing of serotonin. So this is called T4 type agonist. T4 type of agonist. So what are the drugs which comes under these T4 type of agonists are cisapride, and mosapride. So these are some drugs which are used. These are the drugs which are used in constipation. That is, there will be more contraction in gastrointestinal tract. It may result in constipation. So in order to overcome that condition, these drugs can be given. So this is about second type, that is second type of autocate we have discussed, that is serotonin. We have completed about histamine and serotonin. Now let us discuss last type, eicosanoids. Last type of autocates are eicosanoids. These are the last type of autocates. So what are eicosanoids mean? Let us consider this is one cell. Let us consider this is one cell. On surface of cell membrane, there is a special enzyme. It is phospholipase A2. Now, the function of this phospholipase A2 is it helps in breakdown of arachidonic acid. So this arachidonic acid, whatever the arachidonic acid which is breaking, will undergo two types of pathways. It will act on two types of enzymes. So the first type of enzyme is cyclooxygenase pathway. Cyclooxygenase pathway. And next one is lipooxygenase 5 lipooxygenase pathway. One is cyclooxygenase pathway, next one is 5 lipooxygenase pathway. So by cyclooxygenase pathway, it results in formation of different types of prostaglandins, that is PGE1, PGE2, next one is PGF2, and next one is PGI2. This is about synthesizing products of lipooxygenase cyclooxygenase pathway. It helps in synthesizing of PGE1, PGE2, PGF2 and PGI2. So here from the lipooxygenase pathway, it involves in formation of leukotriene C4 and leukotriene D4, and here it also involves in synthesis of thromboxane A2. So there are certain analogs for this PGE1, PGE2, PGF2 and PGI2. So what are the analogs which are present for PGE1 are misoprostol. Misoprostol is the first analog. Next one is alprostol. Misoprostol and alprostadine. So because of these actions, it results in vasodilation. So next analogs for PGE2 means dinoprostine. Dinoprostone. So because of analog, that is dinoprostone, it results in uterine contractions. Now analogs for PGF2 means carboprost. Because of carboprost, it results in uterine contractions, and it helps in increasing the uveoscleral pathway of aqueous humor. That is, it will increase the uveoscleral pathway. We have two types of pathway. One is uveoscleral pathway and next one is trabecular pathway. Uveoscleral pathway will get activated because of carboprost. So this is about PGF2, and analogs for PGI2 means iloplast. That is, it increases the vasodilation. If there is increase in vasodilation, and it also acts as anti-aggregant. So there are certain drugs which will work. Now this phospholipase A2 will work on cyclooxygenase and result in cyclooxygenase pathway, and these phospholipase A2 will work on lipooxygenase enzyme. It will work on these two types of enzymes. So these two cyclooxygenase enzyme can be inhibited by non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. These non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs can be given, and these 5-lipooxygenase enzyme can be inhibited by xylitol. it can be inhibited by xylitol, which are studied under bronchodilators. So which are studied under giving the asthmas, like anti-inflammatory drugs, xylitol, and there are certain drugs which will inhibit this lipoxygenase pathway, like montelukast, that is anti-inflammatory drug. Montelukast. These are some important drugs which are given. Now, there are certain drugs which will inhibit the 5-lipoxygenase pathway. Like xylitol. Now, let us discuss about non-steroidal inflammatory drugs which are used in treatment, like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs which are used in eicosanoids. That may be non-selective, as well as they may be selective. They may be non-selective and they may be selective. The first drug which comes under is acetaminophen. Acetaminophen, this is the first drug. Because of excessive use of acetaminophen, there may be hepatotoxicity. So in order to overcome this hepatotoxicity, there should be given a N-acetylcysteine. In order to overcome the hepatotoxicity, we should give the N-acetylcysteine. This is the first drug, and next drug is aspirin. That is aspirin. And next one is indomethacin. Indomethacin is the next drug, and next one is diclofenac. And next one is ibuprofen. These are some non-selective, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Let us come to the selective inflammatory drugs. That is, first one is celecoxib, is the first drug, and next one is etoricoxib, and last one is lomirocoxib. So these are some non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So these are some autocates which we have discussed, that is anti-inflammatory drugs, anti-bihydroxytryptamine drugs, and which will block these anti-PGEs and anti-leukotrienes.